This is truly the best part of the year to be an Arena fan. You get some of the best matchups, obviously. Then also when you get to see that great gameplay, the stakes are right in front of your face. Who's going to BlizzCon and who gets sent home? And then you have a matchup like this. We're not even through the first day. We have a whole another day of play tomorrow, but we get to see the best versus the best. We get to see the best in NA versus the best in EU. The question is, who's going to be able to take it and jump forward in that upper side of the bracket? Method Black has looked pretty much like the best team ever to have existed in World of Warcraft throughout this year, just grabbing more points than we even thought would be mathematically possible. And then on the side of Cloud9, they really turned up in that first land, and obviously they've looked strong in their region. My name's Rich. I'm going to be your host. I'm joined by Venruki, Healing Stat, and we got Jelly for all the analysis. When we actually look at these teams, what do we think the comps might look like? What does the head-to-head matchup really look like?
I don't know if Cloud9's too confident in the Rogue Mage mirror. I mean, I was talking to them about it, and they don't really have enough. I think I was talking to Snuts between one of the breaks, and he was saying that they don't have enough practice. I mean, there are no Rogue Mages in NA for them to practice against. I think they might try to countercomp with MLD, but I'm not even sure if they should win that matchup.
Yeah, I think that that's a really important thing to bring up. Chan did say in an interview, he's like, yeah, our quality of practice against RMD is going to be lower than a European team that gets to spam those mirror matchups. Now, we've seen Chan already a little bit at this LAN on the Warlock. He's looked like an absolute madman. Do you think he can be maybe the key player to keep an eye on in this matchup?
Well, I think for Cloud9, there's two options. You go for the mirror head-to-head, or you kind of stick to your strengths. And I think for Cloud9, that's probably what they're going to be doing. It seems like unless a team can force them off of the Mage Lock Druid, that is what, is their favorite composition to run. And I think for Method Black, they're also in a little bit of a difficult situation because they don't have practice against a Mage Lock Druid of that caliber. I think both teams, or most players, most teams at this point, feel like the Rogue Mage Druid into the Mage Lock Druid is a really good matchup, but it is hard to prepare for a team like Cloud9.
That really is the cool thing about seeing the two top teams from different regions going head-to-head, because the practice is going to be a little bit weird. You obviously can't get practice as good if you don't have the best at that in your region. So we're going to jump down to the floor and hear if Aya has figured anything out as to what they might play.
Hey, you guys, before this matchup, I spoke with Sidu actually watching from backstage to hear what his thoughts were on this matchup, and he seems to think that Method Black kind of has this in the bag. He's like, yeah, they have an answer to MLD, and they're going to win the mirror. Also on the side of Cloud9, I spoke with Cubsy, and he really didn't seem too confident in this. Like you guys said already, they haven't really had that much practice against the mirror, so we'll see how this goes out. It looks like it's going to be Method Black, but it'll be interesting. See you guys.
Last time that we heard somebody wasn't confident was Morrow. I'm just saying right now, coming in with the right amount of hesitation is going to be something that's good, right? I think when you know that anything can happen and you're just enough aware, you have that adrenaline pumping, it does really put you in the right state of mind to be able to get those big plays, to be able to take those risks, but also respect what your opponent can do. And I do want to bring up the Chan effect just one more time, because he just tends to make stuff look good on LAN. He's going to be playing the class that he's known for, and we just saw how powerful mains can be, even if it does defy the meta.
Yeah, I think that's correct. So I think for Cloud9, I actually watched them yesterday. They only played 3 Rogue Mage mirrors because neither team really wanted to go into it, and when they did eventually end up playing it, Method Black got the better of the exchange. So I think for Cloud9, play what you're best at, the Mage Lock Druid. Yes, it's not a favored matchup, but these guys are just so damn good at it. As you said, the Chanimals effect, this guy on Warlock, he defeated a Rogue Mage Druid from Europe already. I think they can at least lead with that, and then even if they lose that, they could just revert back to the mirror and then play that out. You're one map down, but you got to try it on your best comp. I think the other thing to note with Method Black is at the Spring Finals, they did drop the ball a little bit, right? And a big part of that was a lack of preparation against the North American teams. And I remember who we saw in an interview earlier, but basically one of the big things that the European squads have taken away from Spring, I think, is, hey, we need to really respect the guys from North America, and Method Black have been the squad to do that. They made characters in North America, they chain wargamed against the boys, against M2KC, and importantly, they've played games against Cloud9, and I think they're prepared. You saw against Method Orange, they didn't even lead with the Rogue Mage Druid because they seem to have a game plan for every single team in this tournament.
Yeah, it's just crazy when you talk about Rogue Mage Druid. Obviously, we knew that it was going to be one of the big talking points of this tournament as far as compositions go. But to really start to think about how different each Rogue Mage really is in skill level, like I feel like there's such a clear tier list right now of Rogue Mage teams. And then on the other hand, when you start to hear a little bit of information from Sidu and other guys in NA, they want to give Rogue Mage practice to Cloud9. A lot of the NA teams want teams like Cloud9 to do well. You want to see your region do well. That's just one of the best ways to ensure your qualification into BlizzCon. But right now, this is going to be both teams going all out, the best of EU versus the best of NA.
Yeah, let's see what they can get done. Waz, he's going to be playing Gnome, and that is something we've seen a lot of these players sort of implement against the Frostmate. I don't think we've ever seen Waz actually play it in a tournament just yet, but it definitely makes sense. We'll see. What is Method Black going to be able to get done? Are they going to go after Chanimal? Are they going to go after Wealthy Man? We've seen the Assassination Rogue be super effective against the Destruction Warlock in the late game. Early on, it can be difficult to actually find pressure, but in the late game, with Waz sitting on Chanimal, unless Wealthy Man and Cubsy can really back him up, he's going to be a sitting duck.
Yeah, I actually think this is the first time we've seen anyone running the Gnome Rogue. Maybe a big part of that is often because Night Elf is such a good ratio, but actually they're going for Wealthy Man in the early stages here. We've seen a lot of teams tunnel Chanimals, but we know that Chanimal actually, with the some of the buffs to Destruction Warlock, they're really difficult to kill in the early game. So I actually really like this. They cross crowd control him. He's an immobile target. They use that Mage Druid CC. They force out an early Ice Block from Wealthy Man, and I mean, no other teams even really tried tunneling the Mage. It's an explosive start here for Method Black.
Yeah, it's a good start. We'll see if it pays off. I mean, normally leaving Chanimal open is a questionable decision, but it looks like Method Black, they have a game plan. They're going aggressive. Vendetta's been pulled out by Waz. Wealthy Man gets topped off, and he's going to be feeling relatively healthy. Popping the Cold Snap, getting out an Ice Barrier. He's completely stable. With Chanimal, he's been controlled the entire game. Normally when we see the Rogue Mage Druid, like you kind of said, they go after Chanimal. They kind of allow Wealthy Man to do whatever he wants in the game, but if you can get control on Chanimal and you can train down Wealthy Man, all of a sudden Cloud9's offensive capabilities really are limited.
Yeah, they actually use the Neverward there offensively to get a fear onto Chaz to Chanimal. Of course, since he's not the target, maybe it'll take him a couple of seconds to kind of get into that state of mind of, hey, I'm actually the guy that carries this game, but given that it's Chanimal, I don't think it's going to take him very long to get into that one, and he's definitely making it worthwhile. Already forcing the Trinket out from Chaz, as well as the Bark Skin. Great offensive push from Cloud9, and this is the scary thing about leaving Chanimal or any Destruction Warlock free. That Dark Soul will already force out major cooldowns from Method Black. They have to play it very carefully, and I mean, to be honest, we've seen some Frost Mages get tunneled today. They don't just flop instantly, do they, Van?
No, they have a lot of defensive capabilities. We'll see. Normally, I think one of the problems actually was he's getting swapped to. He's caught to a Rake Stun. Can they take him down? Do they have the damage? Chaos Bolt lands. Waz ultimately survives off the back of that Iron Bark. Nicely done. Scary situation. You can start seeing Cloud9 develop these opportunities. Full fear now on Chaz, and Waz, he's a little bit scared. He's going to be trying to run behind the pillar. He's got the Coco Shadow, he's got the Vanish, so he's going to be feeling relatively safe in the matchup, but keep in mind, he's not a human and he's playing Relentless, so he does not have a stun break. If he gets caught into a Rake Stun or a Bash, he's not going to be able to get off that Cloak of Shadows, and that's when Cloud9 can capitalize on those moments of burst. So definitely something Method Black needs to be considering in the game.
I am really scared for Method Black here. I feel like leaving Chanimal free is, it's definitely risky, I'll say that. They have managed to get a fair bit of pressure on Wealthy Man, but once again, Chaz caught up, doesn't have his Trinket, does have his Spark Skin though, no damage really coming out. Fears will break immediately from the bleeds and the dots, so not too much to be achieved there. We see the Cyclone landed, maybe going for a Hibernate Polymorph combination, but Chaz once again caught up in the Fears, unable to land them. Raikou also crowd controlled the 3v1 set up on Waz once again. Rogue Mage typically was the team looking for the crowd control, but against Cloud9, there's no out controlling these guys. We've got the Chaos Bolts coming in, we've got the damage, and Chanimal, look at his positioning. Start of the game, he was out of position. He was caught in the middle, getting crowd controlled the entire time. Now he's basically playing it like a healer. He's behind the pillar, avoiding polymorphs, getting out Fears and Chaos Bolts, and he is just playing this excellently, showing his adaptation so quickly into the match.
Yeah, Cloud9, they have adapted to the strategy, but there's still a good pressure here from Method Black. Kidney shot on Wealthy Man, full blind onto Cubsy. He doesn't have a Trinket, immediately tricketing out as soon as it gets off cooldown. Does not want to be caught in a situation where he doesn't have that available. Bash now onto Waz, one Chaos Bolt lands. Wealthy Man getting big damage out right now, gets interrupted on the Polymorph. Nice interrupt there by Waz. He's got the Vendetta, he's got the Smoke Bomb. There's big offensive capabilities here from Method Black, as well as the Icy Veins from Raikou. Wealthy Man could be in some trouble. This could easily be a second Ice Block soon.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could be. We see Chaos Bolts coming in. Good sheep from Raikou. And I think Chanimal, he's kind of left himself out again because Cubsy had to cross field. When Chaz pushes in, that's the disadvantage the Destruction Warlock has. He can't, you know, move around the map as easily as anyone else, in fact, on this team. So if he gets caught behind a pillar like that, then Chaz can control him, Riker can control him. It did look good for a while for Cloud9 there. And honestly, I'm really curious how this one's going to play out as dampening stacks up, because Wealthy Man has been under a fair bit of pressure, but you get the feeling that one good setup from Cloud9 could end it all.
Yeah, that was really nice. Fear onto Chaz. He trinketed out into a Mortal Coil. But there's really no follow-up damage here from Cloud9. Unfortunately, Wealthy Man and Channel not able to get the damage that they want, but they got the trinket from Chaz. And if we see a big setup with Icy Veins onto Chaz out of the Bash, a Mortal Coil, I could easily see Cloud9 just deleting him, especially if he plays a little bit too aggressive. So Chaz needs to be careful. Ironbark might not be enough if they really commit all their offensives. We've seen Cloud9 do it in the past, and I think they could pull it off in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, they're very, very close. Cloak of Shadows is available for Waz, but he needs to be careful that he uses it. Now we see the counter space looking for a Bash. Very scary. Fortunately for him, he is on the diminishing return, meaning that that Bash was half, and he's going to be able to break out of that one once again, holding onto the Cloak of Shadows. But I'm really scared for Waz. I get the feeling that one of these days, he might get caught in a stun and regret not using that cooldown a little bit earlier. Cloud9, dampening starting to stack up 10%. Almost for both of these teams. Cubsy, Trinket rotating back up in exchange for the blind, of course. Chaz pushing in, but Cubsy preemptively wild charges away, uses the Ursul's Vortex to run away from that. And I think Cubsy, one of the good things about him when he's playing this comp is he does such a good job of recognizing when the enemy druid is pushing in. He's always all over that play, quick to react, and again avoids the crowd control.
Yep, Chanimal now getting swapped too. They're doing big damage. He had to trinket out. Full blind on Cubsy. Is he going to trinket? What is he going to do? Chanimal getting lower. There it is. Finally a trinket committed there by Cubsy. He doesn't have the Iron Bark. That was a scary situation, and now Chanimal in a situation where there's no Iron Bark to keep him alive. Still has the Unending Resolve, and if they force it out at this point of the game, it's going to be big for Method Black, and you can really tell at 10% dampening, they're switching their focus over on the Destruction Warlock, and I think it's a good play.
Yeah, I think this was the strategy all along. Maybe they felt like attacking Wealthy Man. I mean, we've heard backstage some really big compliments of Wealthy Man, people saying he's the best mage here, maybe he's the best mage in North America. I mean, there's going to be debate about this topic for a very long time, but certainly he is a force to be reckoned with. They shut him down in the early game. Now that we're seeing dampening stack up, Chanimal is the target of choice, and they do have the pressure. Cubsy's behind on mana. He hasn't been able to drink in this one. Chanimal is constantly finding himself, you know, he's not top. He's always around 80, 70%, which means one crowd control on Cubsy could well be the game ender here for Method Black. They have had a good game. It's certainly been an entertaining one. Still get the feeling that Waz could be in trouble. He isn't at 100% health either, but they do have the advantage going into dampening.
Yeah, but Waz is getting low, and there's the Cloak of Shadows. Without the Cloak of Shadows, he's just so vulnerable. Stuck in midfield, if Wealthy Man and Chanimal can keep just spamming out spells on him, it's going to be really difficult for Chaz to actually catch up. There's a Rake Stun, full bash on Chaz. Cubsy getting aggressive, but Chaz trinkets out. He gets the bash onto Cubsy. Now Chanimal could be in a little bit of trouble. Full polymorph lands onto Chaz. Beautifully done by Wealthy Man. Waz, he's running, he's hiding, he's behind the pillar. Vendetta, his Vanish is rotating up, and that's going to be the defensive cooldown he needs in order to survive. As long as he has a Vanish or a Cloak of Shadows, he can keep himself alive, but Chaz now getting swapped to. Cloud9's all over the place.
Yeah, and this is a big moment in the game. Cubsy's actually been sitting down for a drink for a while. He was under so much mana pressure, and yes, he's able to get up to about 40%. That is a big swing in momentum here for Cloud9. All off the back of that beautiful crowd control on Chaz. Wealthy Man was the one able to land that full polymorph. Now a counterspell. Now the Infernals. Huge damage potential from Chanimal. They shut him down immediately. There's the Sheep. Kidney Shot to combine it. Cloud9 on the defense once again. Unending Resolve could have been traded out there, but there was no Vendetta. Chanimal recognizes that and decides not to do it. The Ursul's Vortex actually also knocking him away from the orb a little bit there. Maybe not min-maxing on the side of Method Black, but they do recover mostly from that Infernal. Reflected Sheep, meaning that Roku is also going to be able to get away here. Maldek's coming in on Waz. He needs to be careful. We do see the Iron Bark, but after that, there's really nothing left for this rogue.
Yeah, and Waz is going to be in a lot of trouble after that, but he's got the Vendetta, and this is Iron Bark. If he waits for the Iron Bark, pops the Vendetta, that's when they can get some damage rolling. However, Chanimal, he has the Unending Resolve. Waz caught in midfield, big damage incoming. Nice feint on that Comet Storm. Really nicely done. Cubsy now sitting down potentially for a drink. If he can recover all his mana, this is going to be a great situation for Cloud9 to really be in. I don't think Chaz is going to really have a moment to breathe in this game. Sit down, get out of combat. Waz just under so much pressure. He needs to hold on a little bit longer for the Cloak of Shadows. He pulls the trigger on Vendetta. Chanimal not using the Unending Resolve. I don't know about this trade, but he's staying relatively healthy. Kleptomania Spellsteal incoming from Wealthy Man. both Waz and Chanimal in a lot of trouble.
This is 6 of the best World of Warcraft players in the world. Absolutely incredible stuff. Chanimal, I think a lot of Warlocks would have traded the Unending Resolve there, but not him. He recognized that he could survive that Vendetta without it, and I mean, I guess a good read because he did do a great job. Cubsy, though, he's so far behind on mana despite that drink. He wasn't able to drink to 100%. Chaz has done a good job of risking it all to deny those, and now Chanimal certainly is the player falling more behind. Waz has the Cloak of Shadows, Chaz has the trinket, and of course the self-healing is just going down and down. 31% healing reduction for both of these sides. Ironbark trades out from Cubsy. He has the Thorns to follow up next. They have Unending Resolve, but those cooldowns tend to matter less and less the deeper we go into dampening. Another beautiful bash from Cubsy, looking for counter pressure on Waz. They're setting up a crowd control chain here, looking to lock him down in the Ursul's Vortex, but he does a good job baiting that out, getting back onto Channels. He still has good uptime, and you can see the Warlock, he's never really getting topped off at this stage in the game.
Yeah, but Waz commits his Vanish offensively. Garrote silence on a Chanimal into a full kidney shot. He's already used his trinket. He has the Unending Resolve, but Waz is going to be vulnerable. He still has Cloak of Shadows, which is a good position to be in. But once that's gone, I don't know what he's going to do at 35% dampening. He's ripping into Chanimal. Big damage incoming from Raikou as well. Cloud9, they need to hold on just a little bit longer, but there's no Ironbark. And Chanimal still hasn't used the Unending Resolve. This is absolutely incredible. He's waiting. He wants to hold on for that Vendetta. If he uses it now, Icy Veins and Vendetta rotate back up. It's going to be lights out for Chanimal. But Waz, he's running out of time. He uses the Cloak of Shadows, and now Chaz completely out of mana. Waz with no defensive cooldowns. Cloud9, if they can hold on just a little bit longer, they might be able to take him down.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly might. This is going to be a cut finish here. Smoke Bomb comes in. Unending Resolve, where is it? He uses the Ironbark instead. Chanimal holding on. Waz still low. Double Mortal Coil. Chaz also out of mana. I can't believe it. Both these sides really could die at any second. This game has not got much longer in it. We see the kick, the kidney shot overlap. Waz has nothing left. They're looking, but they have to play defensive. Chanimal, that's Shadow. The BM falls, and he dies. I cannot believe it. Method Black win game 1.
Man, you know, throughout the entirety of the day, Chan just holds on to that Unending Resolve for so long. This time, maybe holds on a little bit too late.
I don't even know. I mean, we're going to see the replay. They actually forced Waz to run away. He used the Cloak of Shadows. He didn't have Vanish, and he actually ran. He shadow stepped away, and it was just Raikou with a big flurry and Battle Masters falling that took Chanimal down. I really can't blame him for not using the Unending Resolve.
I mean, being that deep into dampening, though, I mean, at that point, it's like you either win there or you lose there. You know what I mean? It's a 40% dampening. Both leaders are completely mana tapped. At some point, you just got to trade it out. You can't be greedy, and especially dying with a cooldown like that, that's going to be a tilter.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too, right? When you don't have any wiggle room, you don't have any life. Like at this point, what is an Unending Resolve really going to do when the push does come in? You are leaving it up to a crit there, and that was a huge crit to even bring him to that point in time. You need to have pretty quick reaction, but it is such a crazy game. You're seeing both sides be greedy throughout all of it, and very well played.
I got to say, certainly from what we heard backstage and the confidence that we had from Method Black talking to them, that was a very close game. And I mean, if this series goes 5 games of Mage Lock Druid versus Rogue Mage Druid, I for one couldn't be happier because it is 2 teams on their best compositions. You can tell that even if you maybe argue that Rogue Mage Druid has a slight advantage in the matchup, when Cloud9 are faced with anything, it doesn't really feel like that.
Man, I'm just like actually thinking about repercussions here, right? Obviously, both of these teams, they're going to BlizzCon. We've known that for quite some time at this point. But you actually really start to think about what happens in the lower portion of the bracket. Like imagine one of these teams going up against a squad that's like fighting to get into BlizzCon. They will have the opportunity to really play spoiler, and you know they're going to be going all out because if you take first place, you get $50,000, and it's one of these pretty crazy scenarios where you start thinking of the teams like Method Orange, for example, that are going to be fighting for everything, and it's mostly the NA teams right now that you're really thinking about that are trying to make those runs to BlizzCon. And someone's going to have to go up against one of these powerhouse squads. Even though Cloud9 loses there, they looked pretty darn good. Jelly, what do you think we actually do see when we get into the second game?
I think it's a rematch, same exact comps. But Waz and his team, Method Black, has definitely done some studying. They're the first Rogue Mage I've ever seen going the Mage because they know they can get pressure and make Cubsy and then once Dampling starts to kick in, then they start to kill Channels. If you notice, as soon as Dampling kicked in, actually they swapped to him and committed every single kidney shot onto him until he died. It's really good studying by Waz and his team.
Yeah, I think that they have definitely come prepared, and that's what we expected from them. We talk about we talk about how much work they're putting in, especially if you compare even to other teams. And Healing Set kept making a joke that they're like on Open Table taking reservations for war games.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, they wake up at like 6 in the morning, start wargaming, and then they wargame till 4 a.m. like every single day. They don't even sleep. They just wargame everybody all day long, and it's actually insane how much practice they've actually put in.
Yeah, I mean, some of these European squads really have done the global tour. I think we even were joking we saw Looney in China at some point as well. But I mean, these guys, Method Black especially, they have just been wargaming. That's an inside joke from the Chinese broadcast. But the Method Black in particular, they wake up at about 9 p.m. European time, which is already a fantastic sleeping schedule. I must say I approve.
9 p.m.
And then they would play war games from 9 p.m. until about 1, 2 a.m. in Europe. And then they would head over to North America, which is of course behind in the time zones, and then play against the North American team. So that really was their life for the last few weeks. They've put everything into this. And I mean, a lot of the teams were saying backstage that if they don't win this, it's kind of shocking because of how much effort they've put in. But on the flip side, they're saying like, hey, if any team is distracted, playing Classic or whatever it is, they don't want to lose to them because they have invested the time, and they're looking great today.
I think there's a lot of pressure on them. I think that this is a team that typically puts a lot of pressure on themselves. But yeah, I think
this is the story of every tournament. It's like, if Method Black's going to win 100%. If they don't win, then, I mean, they kind of threw.
Honestly, I think that there's something to be said about practicing less and not having that much pressure on yourself. There's obviously something over there. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously something to practicing that much. I'm not taking that away from them, and I respect what they've been able to do. And also, we hear other teams constantly say not only do they think that Method Black's going to be able to win, but they deserve to win. And that's not something that I've heard at tournaments before. I haven't heard other teams say that a different team deserves to win because of the work that they've put in. That is a lot of respect to actually say that about another squad. But the pressure that you put on yourselves, I just feel like it can tear you apart at a certain moment.
I feel like it really depends on the person. It depends on the team. I think for Method Black, they kind of thrive on that. They like to be the top dog. They like to have the pressure on them to really, really perform. They come about as prepared as you could possibly be, especially compared to some of these other teams, and it just really shows. Unfortunately for Method Black, sometimes it doesn't go their way, and I feel like sometimes it is themselves that is their biggest obstacle.
I will also say...
It sounded really profound.
Yeah,
that was deep.
Deep, dude. Yeah, like, make that a poster. But when you look last year and think about some of the losses that they had when you expected them to win, I think some of it was out of their control, too, to be completely fair. I mean, hey, there he is. I think it was, I think to a certain degree, that wasn't something that they could have prepared for. It was somewhat of an anomaly. And they want to come out.
Jellybean's not known for the survival hunter at all.
I mean, when you actually do look at what
you got to respect all your opponents, right?
Yeah, I just think they find themselves in a situation here where they've taken into account all the anomalies. They don't want to see something like that happen again. They want a BlizzCon win, and they want to do it in style. They want to win every single cup. They're never going to let their hands off the reins. They want to win this cup too. I think if they didn't get first place here, they'd be disappointed in themselves. Let's see if Method Black's going to be able to take down Cloud9 this series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested to see how this next one's going to go. I think for Cloud9, maybe if they lose this, they do opt to try the mirror, see how it goes. But as I said, yesterday, the teams did play 3 war games, and it did look like Method Black had the edge in that one, which I don't think that's even necessarily the skill of the players. It's just the fact that in Europe, there's a lot of Rogue Mage Druids right now. There's a lot of perfect practice partners for Method Black, whereas Cloud9, of course, don't have that on their side. So they are going to lock in the Mage Warlock once again. And I think it's smart. They were so good in the last game, so close to winning. I'm looking to see what race Waz is playing. Maybe he swapped off the Gnome. I don't think either of us particularly liked it. Maybe the Night Elf or the Human, either of them might be a bit better. It looks like he's a little bit taller in this one. I'm trying to make out which one he's playing.
How dare you say I don't like the Gnome? Are you kidding me? That's my favorite. Waz getting caught into a rake stun. Chaz drinking out the Fury. That's okay. I understand, but I don't think he is playing Gnome anymore. I'm a little disappointed, to be honest, but I can understand. Here's the thing, okay? For Waz, it's really important he can break out of those stuns. There was a few close calls, and I feel like it's nice to get out of a Frost Nova, but it's better to get out of a Bash so you can get your Cloak of Shadows and not die. So I think Waz, being the player he is, realizing it. Chanimal actually under a lot of pressure. Full Ring of Frost onto Cubsy. Chanimal already trading out his Unending Resolve. Does not want to make the same mistake again. Gladiator Safeguard proc. Sap over onto Cubsy. The crowd control is just not ending. There's a full Cyclone on Cubsy. He trinkets into a DR blind with a Kidney Shot over on a channel. Finally, the crowd control ends. Cubsy able to activate the Iron Bark, but a nice Cyclone from Chaz. Method Black in complete control of this game.
Yeah, it was a bit of an impulsive DR blind from Waz. Let's see if it pays off, because honestly, I almost wonder. I don't blame him for going for the play because they were so close to the kill, but equally, they could have maybe saved that to exploit the fact that Cubsy trinketed prior. They did get the Unending Resolve from it though, so that's a huge cooldown. Very explosive opener here from Method Black, and whereas in the last game they were shutting down Wealthy Man a lot, this game they've swapped up some things, they've gone to that human, they're tunneling down Chanimal, and even in the early stages of this game, they have an unrelenting amount of pressure, so much so that the next bash could easily be the game.
Yep, and we'll see. I mean, Raikou right now has been able to put out a lot of pressure. Equally so, though, Wealthy Man has been able to. Both these mages basically doing whatever they want in this matchup, trying to polymorph each other, trying to slow down the damage. This is one of the first times ever we've seen another mage out-damage Raikou. Wealthy Man doing a great job so far. It's really, really neck and neck between these two mages. Fear over onto Chaz. What are they going to be able to set up? Double Mortal Coil set up here from Chanimal, but he gets shut down by a nice kick from Waz. Full Cyclone now on Cubsy, and once again, Chanimal in a position where he's a little bit vulnerable here in the midfield.
Yeah, he certainly is. We see the Dwarf Racial preemptively on the Kidney Shot, removing all the bleeds, so nice play from Chanimal there, just mitigating incoming damage. Cubsy also uses the Iron Bark as no Polymorph Hibernate combo was able to land as follow-up, but look at the mana on Cubsy. He has burnt through a fair share, 70% already down, 30% left on that resource. He's going to be looking for a drink right now, and Chaz has been the player to stop him so far. I think this is one thing that Method Black have done a really good job of, and I mean, they put a lot of pressure on Chaz. I was listening to them practice a lot. They really expect him to not only heal them, also make sure he gets the perfect Cyclones, denies every single drink. A lot of pressure on him, and he actually trinkets aggressively here to try chase Cubsy, but I'm not entirely sure he knows where Cubsy went with that Shadow Meld. He's going to have a tough time catching him. Right, Was actually, he went for the Vanish play. He wanted a Vanish Sap there. Couldn't quite land it though. Cubsy with a good read, able to survive that play.
That was really, really heads up by Cubsy, denying the Sap and actually basically wasting the Vanish of Waz. So nicely done. Now Fear over onto Waz. He doesn't have that Vanish as a defensive cooldown, and now Cloud9 can try to keep the counter pressure rolling. They haven't really went after Raikou at all in this match. It's mostly been Waz, but I just feel like he's so durable. Finally a swap now onto Raikou. Big burst damage. He gets interrupted on Frost. Do they have the damage to force the Ice Block? Temporal Shield looking like it's going to be enough to keep him alive, and that's the problem. When you have a rogue like Waz just tunneling you down, Asset Destruction Warlock, you're just so susceptible to kick, to Kidney Shot, and it really limits your offensive capability.
Yeah, I'm trying to see the damage meter. It looks like Waz is doing like 30% more damage than anyone else on the map, and that really is the power of this Assassination Rogue. He brings the Mortal Strike, he brings the damage, and he also brings the Smoke Bomb, which here could be enough to kill Chanimal. Preemptive Iron Bark, though, nicely played, as well as that Unending Resolve. A lot of respect on the side of Cloud9. They definitely are feeling the heat here on Ashermain's full. Game 2 not looking good for them, as once again major cooldowns forced out before dampening even begins.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud9, they've been really defensive in this match so far. I feel like they need to find an opening. Going after Waz, it's the consistent strategy, but I don't know if they're actually going to find a win. It was close in the last game, but I think if Waz wants to live, he'll be able to. Anytime he doesn't have Cloak or he doesn't have Vanish, he can run, he can hide. I think for Cloud9, they need to try to find some openings on Chaz. We've seen them do really big one-shot setups in the past with a Bash into a Mortal Coil, into an Infernal Stun, and just delete Druids out of the arena. They can do that on the Chaz. They can get a quick surprise victory. It's something I definitely want to see them look out for in this match. Yeah,
swapping around a little bit more seems to have been the play here. We see Waz dropping low, might have access to that human racial though to break out the stuns if he needs it. Cloak of Shadows, of course. Immunity essentially to the damage on Cloud9, something that he can access at any point. Chaz sitting in the back line. I think he might actually be looking for a drink behind the pillar. Rain of Fire, there's no way that one hit him. I think he's probably getting a lot of mana here, and yes, he has managed to top of his mana bar as dampening begins. That is a huge play there by Method Black, and something they really needed. Cubsy now is really on the back foot. Chaz gets caught up in a polymorph though, well snuck by Wealthy Man, trying to make him punish, or make him feel the punish for that drink, but doesn't look like it's really going to happen. Cubsy sitting back looking for a drink of his own. Raikou though all over the place, gets the Frozen Orb and denies.
Yeah, and Chaz is full mana. This is not looking good for Cloud9 in this situation. Cubsy's going to have to try to sneak away for a drink at some point, but Raikou and Waz, they're all over him. Full Fear now onto Chaz, interrupt onto Raikou. Do they have any burst damage to really punish him? He's at the pillar. Wealthy Man snipes him with the Ray of Frost. And it looks like Raikou is going to be completely fine. He's got both of his ice blocks. He's got a big ice barrier protecting his hit points. And it looks like the story of this game could ultimately come down to mana. At some point, Cubsy's going to have to try to figure something out, but it's going to be up to Chanimal and Wealthy Man to really set that up.
It's certainly tough for Method Black, and I mean, they've done such a good job dealing damage that if they spend the entire rest of the game chasing Cubsy, actually sometimes it can have an adverse effect on you. It means you focus less on your damage and you end up losing pressure, and the other team kind of finds their way back into the game. Though that said, this is a brilliant cheap shot combo into the Cyclone, completely shutting down the free heals of the Innovate. Beautiful play once again by Method Black. They have a huge lead in this game right now, and any resolve not available. Trinket is available for Cubsy as he re-stealths. Gets a little stun there over onto Raikou. Able to land the Iron Bark also, but a great Cyclone coming in. Still, it's on the Vendetta, so maybe not the most value, but either way, they just have so much control over the game right now, Method Black. It feels like they'd have to really throw this one to lose it.
Yeah, things are looking good for Method Black. They've got the pressure, they've got the control. Bash onto Cubsy. He throws out a Thorns onto Chanimal, full blind. He trinkets out. So now there's a situation where Cubsy's got no trinket, he's got no mana. Chanimal, of course, with the unending resolve, he has to be very careful, and I don't want to see him play too scared with it. Obviously, he fell in the last game without really being able to utilize it, but I do like him using it in sort of a greedy way. Just in this situation, it's really difficult because Cubsy really doesn't have the mana to recover his hit points. Innervate's on a 2-minute timer at this point, and Cloud9 seems like they're running out of time.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. They do still have, of course, the Wealthy Man on their team, and something about the last game, like the amount of damage he was able to put onto Waz, made me think maybe, just maybe, they could make something happen, but in this game, they've been kind of splitting their focus more. They've been crowd controlling Waz, attacking Raikou a little bit, and it just feels like they're focusing so much on survival. Maybe they think if they can get to the deepest point in dampening, they might be able to kind of pull something from the depths of this game. Maybe that's their win condition. Chanimal once again drops low. Cubsy caught up in a full Ring of Frost. I'm surprised Chanimal isn't using his unending resolve here, but there are good sheeps coming out onto Waz, denying some of the damage. Maybe has a Mortal Coil to follow it up. Iron Bark now connects, uses the Nether Ward to reflect. We can see all of those buffs being kleptomaniaed though, thanks to our extra frame on the UI. Very nice, happy to see it. We have the Maldix also coming in on onto Waz, trying to get some counter pressure here as Cubsy once again sneaks away for a drink.
Yeah, Chanimal gets interrupted, doesn't have access to the unending resolve. Cubsy, no Iron Bark, no mana, he's looking to get a drink. This is the perfect situation for Chanimal to really drop out that unending resolve. Waz tries to shut it down with a distract, and he does so. Waz has been on fire, keeping track of Cubsy in the match, not allowing him to get out of combat to recover his mana. Chaz, mana isn't doing great either, but in a much better situation than Cubsy. We're at 25% dampening, and I don't know how much longer Cloud9 can hold on. Wealthy Man's going to have to try to find some openings. Maybe they need a target swap, because look at Waz. He's got the cloak, he's got the Vanish rotating back up, and I don't really see him going down in this situation.
Yeah, and I mean, actually, at the same time, it looks like they're once again trying to
whoa,
big swap over onto Chaz. Trinket, Barkskin, huge play there, and it wasn't even cooldowns from Cloud9. So definitely need to be respectful of that one. Chaz was, fortunately, but another attempt like that, and it will be nights out for him. He needs to be very, very careful. Chanimal still low, still has that unending resolve. Vendetta available for Waz. I'd love to see him just pop it. There's no Iron Bark available. Could be a fantastic momentum swing here for Method Black. 30% dampening, 30% healing reduction, and Cubsy, I can't believe he still kept Chanimal alive. Just such a, I mean, he's such a great druid. It's actually astounding that he's still alive in this one. That was the last innovate of the game, though. They also overlap the unending resolve for this Vendetta, and now Icy Veins gets popped. Very scary time for Chanimal.
Definitely. He used the unending resolve on the Vendetta, but Icy Veins available. Massive damage. Chanimal, he trinketed out of a Cyclone into a kidney shot, and he hasn't been able to recover since. But Chaz, he's running out of mana as well. Raikou actually gets interrupted. Good control onto Wealthy Man. What are they going to be able to get done? There's a blind onto Cubsy. He trinkets out. And still Chanimal on the back foot, but he's just been in midfield at 25% 33% dampening. How is he still alive? There's the kidney shot. Raikou getting out a big flurry combo, keeping him nice and low. Cubsy caught into the bash. He's got no mana. There's a full polymorph, and there is no way that he survives. Double Mortal Coil coming in. I don't know if he has the Hellstone available. Does he have the damage? Can they make a swap on a Chaz? He's got no Bark Skin, he's got no Trinket. If Cloud9 can just hold on a little bit longer, they might be able to close out the game. I don't think Waz is the best target. He still has the Cloak of Shadows, and Chanimal as a Destruction Warlock in this matchup at almost 40% dampening. It is almost an inevitability that he falls. This kidney shot is easily going to close out the game. If Cubsy can keep him alive, it's going to be an absolute miracle.
You'd certainly think that this would close out the game. A full counterspell, you'd think that will close it out, and it will. Method Black had an absolutely insane game 2 here. Really clean gameplay from them, and they look like they've got this matchup down.
Yeah, and I think that this is one of those times where we've talked about the power of Rogue Mage. Now we're seeing the best Rogue Mage. I don't necessarily think there are any free games for Rogue Mage, but when you have the best Rogue Mage, I think that they're really going to be able to use this to their full power and march all the way to the grand final.
I mean, they're not doing anything flashy. They're not forcing goes by walking into bad spots like the other Rogue Mages. Instead, they're playing it really smart and conservative, never getting into a bad spot, so their win percentage is increased by a phenomenal amount. I mean, really smart plays by Method Black overall. A couple of swaps from Cloud9 on the Chaz were good, but I mean, I feel like the kills would have been cheese kills. And honestly, I think Cloud9 should lock in Rogue Mage, not because I think they'll win as it, but if they don't practice Rogue Mage now into Method Black, they won't get any practice from any other Rogue Mage to prepare for tomorrow or BlizzCon.
That's so smart. It's almost like, you know, take that advantage of already being qualified to BlizzCon and use this as 3 war games. Even though that sounds like such a terrible idea, best case scenario, you win. Worst case scenario, you're more prepared for the rest of the field of play, and you have a pretty solid shot of actually taking games here and then getting the rematch in the grand final. I actually think that it's one of the more intelligent ideas you could have. Maybe we do see them at least get the 1 game right now, but this is the team that you want to have war games against, and they're never going to give it to you because they don't want you to have war games at all. But they're not going to just completely blow a game in the tournament if that mirror does come out. I think that's a really good idea. Do you think that we do see maybe a swap here to the mirror?
I don't know. I've seen Cloud9 be really stubborn in the past with this type of decision. I mean, I've really seen them be sort of glued onto that Mage Lock Druid. I just don't know if it's the best decision. It seems like Jellybeans kind of alluded to, they're playing really safe, really conservative. Method Black is not giving any openings for Cloud9 in this matchup, and I think the only openings they really did have were some of those swaps over onto Chaz. Maybe they could try to implement those a little bit more, but I think Waz going over to the Human Relentless sort of limits the swap opportunities onto him. I think it was a good decision, and it just seems like really solid gameplay coming in from Method Black.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what this team's going to be able to do with the rest of the field of play, but also we do know that as of right now, they're not just locked into this composition. They've already played other things. The question is, how far are they going to be able to take it? Are they going to be able to grab a 3-0? Folks, we are jumping into what could be the last game of the day. Is Method Black going to get back to the 3-0s that we saw at the beginning of the day for EU? Cloud9 was able to escape it the first time around. Will they be able to escape it against the top dog from the region?
I mean, we'll have to see. Right now, Method Black, they are in a prime position in this series. Cloud9, they're going to have to battle back. Wealthy Man actually went over to Fire Mage, so I think it's going to give him a lot more casted damage. And if we see Raikou and Waz sort of just sit on channel the entire game, Wealthy Man's going to be a much bigger threat with that greater Pyroblast. And I have to say, I don't mind this decision. I think bringing it to Tolvaron with the Fire Mage is going to throw a little bit of a curveball to Method Black.
Yeah, I think this is actually quite smart. I mean, we talked about the Rogue Mage. We talked about like them just not wanting to lock in the same comp and lose 3 times in a row. I think Fire Mage is actually quite smart. For the same reasons that I said, I liked it when Wildcard tried it on Tolvaron Arena. It is a menace. If they tunnel down Chanimal, then of course they have to really respect Wealthy Man. Have a little look over at his build right now, see if he is running that Greater Pyroblast. Which
certainly
of course,
is. It's the first thing I look for.
There's the Greater Pyroblast. So of course, if they do tunnel down Chanimal, the Greater Pyroblast will be a huge impact. Meanwhile, it looks like they're actually going to go after Wealthy Man because of that. And I think it's smart. Go after the Fire Mage. He's going to have less snares to shut down Waz. And of course, Greater Pyroblast is going to be much less of a factor when tunneled by an Assassination Rogue.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Wealthy Man on the Fire Mage, even if they tunnel him down, he's going to be able to get out a lot of instant cast damage when he needs it. And if you go after the Fire Mage, guess what? Chanimal is able to free cast in the game. And that's why I like this pick so much, because there's no good target for Method Black to go after. They go after Chanimal, they get hit with the Greater Pyroblast. They go after Wealthy Man, they get hit by the Chaos Bolts, and it's kind of danged if you do, danged if you don't. And I think for Method Black, they're going to have to play a really solid game defensively, because there's going to be a lot of pressure in favor of Cloud9.
Yeah, certainly. So this is going to be a good test for Method Black. I think whenever you're playing ladder, especially if you're hovering around the 2000s to 2200s, you're going to see a lot of the Fire Mage Destruction Warlock. And for most people, it's going to be like, oh, I really don't like playing against this comp, because you have to be so alert the entire time, right? You're watching those Chaos Bolts, you're watching those Greater Pyroblasts, and if any of them connect, suddenly you have, 60, 50% health. yourself, and then one more and you're gone. So it's definitely going to require maximum attention here from Method Black. How are they going to play this one out? Waz, of course, in the early stages of the game is going to be the target. Good Iron Bark from Chaz between the fears. Nice plays from him, making sure that the Cloak of Shadows, I actually thought they were going to save it off of that, but Waz actually respects it a lot, uses the Cloak of Shadows despite Cyclones on Chanimal and tunneling Wealthy Man. Maybe a little bit overly defensive there from the young rogue.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's a difficult spot for Raikou and Waz because if the interrupts have to be really on point, and it has to be well-timed interrupts. It's not a simple script. Kidney shot over onto Cubsy. They're making a swap. They realize they want to close out the game early, and they might be able to do so. Cubsy's in a lot of trouble. He's got no trinket. He trades out the Bark Skin, Overgrowth, Hellstone, everything committed by Cubsy to survive except the Iron Bark. He managed to hold on to that. And that's a little bit of a victory there for Cloud9. That was a nice attempt by Method Black. I really like what they did there. As I was saying about interrupts, it's a difficult game. It's a difficult thing to balance because when you're sitting on Wealthy Man, if you interrupt Greater Power Blast, you're just going to get Polymorph spam. If you're on Chanimal and you interrupt Fear, you're just going to get Chaos Bolt spam. So you really have to be good about interrupting Fears and Polymorphs at the right time, interrupting Greater Power Blast and Chaos Bolts at the right time. You can't just be interrupting one spell like a bot throughout the entire game because thing is, Wealthy Man and Chanimal will be able to really capitalize on the fact that there's no interrupts available.
Yeah, and I think that's a crucial thing. That's why it's so difficult to play these matchups. It's also so difficult to write a guide or something like how to be Waz and Raikou in this situation, because you've really got to recognize, like, hey, we're shutting down crowd control right now because we want to go for our own kill. Meanwhile, you know, that's obviously going to open up schools of damage. So Cloud9, being some of the best wizards in Waverly Place, they're going to have a fantastic time in this one. Method Black, it's going to be...
What a boomer reference.
I think actually Venruki likes that reference.
I say it all the time.
Oh yeah,
that's a boomer reference.
So that's probably where it comes from in my head. But we see a counterspell here over onto Wealthy Man, as once again he's the one getting locked down. And I mean, the Fire Mage, this is the weakness, right? Like without the snares, kidney shot's going to happen every 20 seconds, and that's going to be something hard to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, kidney shot's pretty good, and when Waz and Raikou are pumping damage into that kidney shot, it's going to be really scary. Bash now over onto Cubsy, and the damage coming in from Cloud9 hasn't been too great so far. I feel like Waz and Raikou, they're picking their moments for interrupts, for their kidney shots, for their damage. This could easily be the cauterized big flurry combo. Wealthy Man, he trades out the Healthstone. Dangerous situation to be in, and we're not even in dampening yet, and already Method Black, they're pulling out major defensive cooldowns. Wealthy Man is a Fire Mage. He has one Ice Block remaining, but no longer has that really important cheat death.
Yeah, some of the North American mages I've actually been super impressed by today. You know, Wealthy Man, we said that he'd been mostly one-tricking the Frost Mage, but he's had a couple of fire performances lately. Jamili, of course, has been playing Fire and Arcane, so they have been multi-specking Maro also, actually. So all these mages have really prepared stuff for the summer finals, certainly the ones that are doing well here in our upper bracket. Cubsy used his Trinket there as well, so there is an Ice Block still available, but of course that cheat death effect for the Fire Mage was forced. They have no Trinket, they're behind on mana. Certainly a few ways that you could say Method Black is winning this one right now, as Chaz once again leaps in, chasing Cubsy, looking for crowd control of his own.
Yeah, Wealthy Man trying to get damage rolling. Waz interrupts him into a full kidney shot. Now into a Cyclone. Chaz, beautifully done. That's going to deny that additional healing from Iron Bark, but it looks like that it was enough to keep Wealthy Man alive. Chanimal going to have to start making some plays here, but as dampening goes up, the Destruction Warlock becomes really scary. Although Wealthy Man's being shut down, he still has some decent burst available to him. All he needs is a couple Fire Blasts, partnered with a Pyroblast and a Meteor, and he can get out some significant instant cast damage. However, he hasn't been able to really pick a moment so far in the game. Temporal Shield not doing too much. He's trying to kite away. Dragon's Breath over on the Waz. Raikou looking to line up some more damage, but it is Chanimal with counter aggression onto Raikou, could force him out of the midfield. Greater Power Blast lands. If they get another Greater Power Blast with a Chaos Bolt landed onto Raikou, he's going to have to play a little bit more careful.
Yeah, he certainly is. And I mean, this is the thing for Raikou. The big map is certainly where you want to take this on Cloud9, because if he blinks forward to get crowd control over onto Cubsy, then he exposes himself. But Wealthy Man also caught up in midfield. Waz has had 100% uptime, I think it's fair to say, in this game. He's had such a fun game on that Assassination Rogue, tunneling down. Now we see a beautiful low Cyclone. Once again, that was the Mortal Coils from Chanimal, but it's not going to deny too much. It's about Cubsy here. How far away can he get? Uses the Rake Stun to deny Raikou. Again, crossing the map, using that big territory to get away from Chaz, and able to stabilize Wealthy Man with good fears on Waz. This has been great gameplay from Cloud9, but the pressure really hasn't been there too much.
Oh, big burst!
This is the Greater Pyro. Huge heals coming in. Is it going to be enough damage to force the Cloak of Shadows? Doesn't look like it. Cubsy, once again, he was actually he almost went away for a drink there. I wonder if maybe he should have. It looked like he maybe was indecisive, thinking I can help out with the kill. Raikou is now on top of him once again. He's having mana issues as we approach the early stages of dampening. If he can find a drink, they could definitely win this one, but without it, I think Method Black has the game.
Yeah, and it just seems like Waz and Raikou, they're so prepared to shut down those drinks. All three members of Method Black know their win condition, and part of that win condition is don't allow Cubsy to reset his mana ever. And Cubsy will eventually run out of mana. The Kleptomania spellsteal from Raikou just paying dividends right now. Wealthy Man looking for some counter pressure onto Waz. Manages to land one greater Power Blast. Is that going to be a second? Waz manages to stay alive. Good heals coming in from Chaz. Full cyclone onto Cubsy. And Cubsy, he's got no mana. And just because of the fact that Cubsy has no mana, Wealthy Man's getting no heals, and he has to trade out his Ice Block kind of in a situation where you don't really want to have to trade out your Ice Block. There wasn't really a setup there from Method Black, but they are just developing so much pressure, so much momentum off the fact that Cubsy's just completely out of mana that it's looking like a 3-0 for Method Black.
Yeah, I mean, this was a bit of an experiment from Cloud9. You can't blame them if they were already behind, but it doesn't look like the Fire Mage is better, unless they can land a couple of greater Power Blasts. I mean, it's still never over with a team like Cloud9, especially with this composition. Another beautiful Cyclone landed by Chaz. He's been doing such a good job. Bear in mind that there's two really powerful interrupts on the side of Cloud9, so if they can catch him in a counterspell, maybe try blow him up, it's definitely something Chaz has to respect, but he's done an excellent job so far. We see double coils coming in. Wealthy Man's health just hasn't been good for a while. Cubsy actually did sneak away for a drink, so he's at 50% mana out of the blue. I didn't see that one coming, but certainly that is a huge play. Is it going to be enough, though? Human Racial on the kidney shot. He's trying to kite away, but there's an Ursul's Vortex, there's a Cyclone. Is there a Polymorph Hibernate combo? They don't land it. Good counterspell from Wealthy Man, but it might not be enough. He's so low on health. We're at 25% dampening, and that's a 3-0 for Method Black.
Very impressive win from Method Black. You can hear them getting a little loud here, and honestly, the teams have been louder than I think we've heard them at LANs in the past on day one. Definitely, I think part of it is just making sure they're getting inside of their opponent's heads nice and early. I think we all know at this point of the game how important that really can be, but Jelly, if you had to just look at this series as a whole, what's the story?
I mean, you swap the fire, and the greater Power Blasts are extremely scary. But there's no slow. There's no slow on the team. If they're ever in trouble, we can just walk around a pillar and be perfectly safe. No pressure going out. I mean, all they have to do is just land interrupts and play safe, and Method Black will win that almost every single time, I feel like.
Do you think we have a high chance of seeing this as a rematch?
Ah, man. I don't know. There are a lot of good teams still in the tournament, and I do believe Method Black will be one of the final teams, but I'm not sure about the rest of the teams.
You know who else is really happy about this result? Who's not actually in this tournament anymore is Minpoike's team, because now upper bracket final is Method Black versus Wildcard Gaming. If that becomes the grand final, then suddenly the third place on points goes from Europe, and they would actually still make it through to BlizzCon. So, I mean, we're still far away from that, right? Like, you look at the teams lurking in lower, you've got Cloud9 now, you've got M2KC, you've got Method Orange. In fact, basically all the teams in lower bracket could easily still make it into that grand final, but food for thought, there's even been Poike's team that could still make it through here.
Yeah, very important to think of, right? I think a lot of the really crazy scenarios have started to fall off, but that is one that we're going to need to keep our eyes on right now. But both of these teams, definitely teams that we also know we want to be keeping our eyes on. Both of them have looked incredible throughout the year. Both of them top dogs as far as points are concerned in their regions. And also in Cloud9, you have this squad that actually won the previous LAN of the year. So we know that they can come back. We know that they can go for a long run right now in the losers bracket. They're definitely going to be playing spoiler to some of the weaker teams. But Method Black, the favorite to potentially win this entire tournament. And as much as in this series we got to see them play the composition we expected to see, I think we've already seen them tested in some ways. We saw that Death Knight Rogue. I think it's very clear that they're practiced on quite a few things.
They're prepared for this tournament. In the summer season, we saw them really dominate with that Rogue Mage Druid. They won most of the cups. They either came in first or second, mostly first, playing the Rogue Mage Druid. And it really was a question, are these teams going to be able to play Rogue Mage Druid in a LAN environment at that top tier caliber, or that top caliber level? And it looks like Method Black, they're prepared, they're ready. They played that game beautifully. There really wasn't any mistakes, and they got the 3-0 victory because of it, and they're looking really scary.
And let's hear what Raikou has to say about that. He's on the main stage looking absolutely jacked.
Hey, you guys, I'm here with Raikou. Now, before this matchup, you guys said you definitely beat them. You just beat them 3-0. What makes you so confident against a powerhouse team like C9?
We prepared a lot for C9 because we lost to them in spring. So we made sure the same thing wouldn't repeat again. So we wargamed a lot. We played a lot of Mage Lock Druid on our own. and we play a lot of RMD mirrors, as seen in the cup, so just well prepared.
Now you guys are the #1 seed in EU. They're the #1 seed in NA. Does this win mean anything more to you?
It means a lot winning because we lost the last time against them in spring. So I really didn't want to lose again, have like a repeat story. And yeah, they're really good players, It was a hard game, and maybe if they played more, it could be even harder.
Now tomorrow you guys go on to face Wildcard. Is there anything you'd like to say to your opponent?
Good luck and have fun. You're really good, and let's have a great match.
Super wholesome. All right, thank you so much. Back to you guys at the desk.
Man, I wish I had someone like Raikou in my life to say nice things like that to me.
Yeah.
Hey,
have fun.
have
Some smiley
fun.
faces everywhere, right?
You're looking good today, man. Yeah, new haircut. Let's take a look at the bracket and see how everything did shape up, though, after this day, because we may not have gotten any haircuts, but we definitely have cut down some teams. First thing that we want to look at is the lower side of the bracket. The Gosu crew and Prismatic getting sent home very early. Now, the Gosu crew had a very strong year. We know that we can see more of them at BlizzCon, but with Prismatic, it's going to have to be one of those wonky scenarios that Healing Stat already alluded to. As we take a look at the schedule, we're going to start things off with the teams that have it all in their hands right now. Are the Mew Mew Kitty Cats going to be a team that can go on a tear, get to the grand final, and secure that spot to BlizzCon, or is it going to be Method Orange? We might find out very early. They're going to be facing elimination throughout the entirety of the day. You don't want to miss it at all. We're going to be kicking things off at the same time tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Jelly, before we actually do go and get ready for tomorrow, do you have any hot takes on who you think will take the tournament? I know you've already said how great all the teams are. We agree on you there, but I'm putting you on the spot right now. Who are you picking out of these squads?
You're really going to put me on the spot like that, Rich?
Yeah, it's your first day.
Oh, man. I got to give it to Method Black. I think Method Black won the whole thing. I was convinced otherwise, but after seeing that, after them just 3-0ing the best team in NA, I got to give it to them.
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely a very reasonable decision to make here, and I also want to say it's been a pleasure having you on the desk. Guys, we are going to get ready for tomorrow now. It's been a pretty crazy day here. We were greeted with an upset and then just greeted with a bunch of 3-0s. NA couldn't get a win until very late in the day, but then we see some of the best World of Warcraft that we have seen in a very long time. Very excited for tomorrow. We've already eliminated 2 teams. When we get here tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the #2 again, because there are 2 spots for BlizzCon. The teams that make it to the grand final will qualify. You don't want to miss it. The entire year will get settled tomorrow.